Is full frame sensor always better than APS-C, aka crop sensor? In this video, I'm going to test with Nikon D750 and Fujifilm X-T2. I'm going to shoot with both cameras side by side so I can compare image quality. Check it out. The first test, I used the Nikon D750 with Tamron 15 to 30mm lens and the Fujifilm X-T2 with Fuji 10 to 24mm lens. And I went to Chautauqua Park to shoot sunrise. First of all, I want to show you two photos. One is taken by Nikon D750, which is a full frame sensor, and the other is taken by Fujifilm X-T2, which has a crop sensor. I have edited both photos and bring them to where I want them to be, like noise reduction, sharpening, contrast. I just did some basic adjustments in Lightroom. And I bring those two photos side by side and I will compare them and see if you can tell any difference between those two photos. And I want you to guess which one is taken by Fujifilm X-T2 and which one is taken by Nikon D750. So I edited both photos with similar workflow. I spent similar amount of time on each photo, and I would say the difference is very small. It's if you don't tell me which one is taken by Fujifilm X-T2, which one is taken by Nikon D750, I probably couldn't tell the difference between a crop sensor and a full frame when I look at it. So I think Fujifilm X-T2 produce a very good image quality compared to full frame sensor. Now let's compare the raw files comes right off the camera. These are the raw files. This one is Fujifilm X-T2 and this one is Nikon D750. I tried to shoot at lowest ISO. So Fujifilm X-T2 lowest ISO is 200. Nikon D750 lowest ISO is 100. And Fujifilm X-T2 I shot at f14. F14 is enough to have foreground and background both in focus, but here Nikon D750 I needed to jump up to f16 to have foreground and background equally in focus. Now let's compare another two photos. So this one is Fujifilm X-T2, this one is Nikon D750, and this was about maybe half an hour before sunrise, and it was still dark, so it's a longer exposure. And we can see Fujifilm, the white balance is a little bit more blue. I like the white balance on Nikon D750, but white balance is pretty easy to adjust in Lightroom if you shoot raw. And now let's compare image quality. So here I don't see any noise, but here I do see a little bit noise, and you can tell Nikon D750 here is a little bit cleaner than this one. But here it's not a big deal. I mean, I can apply noise reduction and make this as clean as Nikon D750. So here, this photo is Fujifilm X-T2 I shot at f/14, and this one is Nikon D750 I shot at f/11. So you can see here the mountain is sharper than the photo here. And let's see, the foreground is equally sharp, I think. Overall, I think Fujifilm X-T2 did a pretty good job here compared to Nikon D750, which has a full-frame sensor. The photo is sharp, especially for details in the background. I think Fujifilm X-T2 is actually a little bit more sharper. And Fujifilm X-T2 has a good image quality, although Nikon D750 is a little bit cleaner than Fujifilm X-T2, but it's just a tiny bit, and that's something you can easily fix in the post-processing when you apply a little bit noise reduction. So I'm happy with the photo quality produced by Fujifilm X-T2, and I think the crop sensor is very close to the full-frame sensor in Nikon D750. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and please consider subscribing because I will do more testing on dynamic range and low light performance compare between Fujifilm X-T2 and the Nikon D750. So I hope to see you in the next video.